A sudden U.S. military strike has just rocked global stability. Within hours, Russia and China have responded, igniting fears of a broader conflict. Chinese warships are on the move. Moscow is issuing threats, and Washington may have just pulled the world one step closer to the edge. What triggered this action? Who's involved? And are we witnessing the early sparks of a global war? This is not a drill. Let's break down exactly what's happening and what might come next. 1. Breaking. U.S. launches precision strike. What triggered the action? It began with a single strike, precise, deliberate, and unannounced. At 2:43 a.m. GMT, the U.S. launched a targeted military operation on what officials are calling a high-value threat node in the Middle East. The Pentagon has confirmed that the strike was based on actionable intelligence, involving an imminent threat to American assets in the region. Initial reports suggest the strike targeted a joint command post used by Iranian-backed militias. But here's the twist. Leaked satellite imagery and intercepted communications hint that Russian advisors were also operating within that facility. That changes everything. This wasn't just a strike against regional proxies. It might have directly impacted Russian operatives. And that's exactly what triggered the next phase. 2. Russia and China respond within hours. Massive mobilization underway. Mere hours after the U.S. operation, Russia's Ministry of Defense raised alert levels in its western and southern military districts. Mobilization notices were issued to certain rapid deployment units. Then came China. Beijing scrambled naval assets in the South China Sea, reportedly rerouting vessels toward contested zones. Russian long-range bombers have been spotted repositioning near Arctic staging grounds. Meanwhile, Chinese cyber units have reportedly gone into active response mode, raising serious concerns about coordinated retaliation, digital or otherwise. This level of synchronization between Moscow and Beijing hasn't been seen in decades. But it doesn't stop there. Third Secret Alliance activated, leaked intel suggests preset retaliation plans. Classified intelligence obtained by allied sources now suggests that Russia and China may have a conditional retaliation protocol, a quiet pact signed during recent joint drills. This agreement reportedly stipulates that if one nation suffers an unprovoked attack by a NATO power, the other must respond, not diplomatically, but militarily or economically. If true, the implications are enormous. This isn't just cooperation, it's alliance-level readiness. And some experts believe the U.S. strike may have activated that clause. One leaked memo refers to the protocol as Project Axis, and based on current movements, it's already underway. Fourth Chinese warship spotted in disputed waters. Coincidence or coordinated move? In the South China Sea, tensions are reaching a boiling point. Chinese destroyers and missile cruisers have been spotted near Taiwan, the Philippines, and even close to U.S. naval routes. State-run media in Beijing insists these movements are routine, but the timing is far from random. U.S. intelligence believes at least one of these ships is equipped with DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missiles, often dubbed carrier killers. This suggests China may be preparing for more than just a show of force. Meanwhile, Taiwan has scrambled fighter jets, and Japan has placed its navy on alert. This is no longer just about the Middle East, it's global. 5. Putin issues. Chilling warning, we are not spectators. From Moscow, President Vladimir Putin addressed his National Security Council with a stark warning. Russia is not a spectator in these provocations. We will not tolerate indirect aggression against our personnel or partners. Putin stopped short of declaring war, but his language was uncharacteristically direct. He also called on the United Nations to condemn the U.S. action, accusing Washington of violating international norms. More disturbingly, unconfirmed reports suggest that several Iskander missile systems in Kaliningrad have been placed on standby. This isn't just saber-rattling, it's pre-positioning. 6. China's foreign ministry delivers blunt message, diplomacy off the table. In a rare move, China's foreign ministry summoned the U.S. ambassador for what's being called a closed-door confrontation. Sources say Beijing accused Washington of escalating military conflict and made it clear that diplomatic channels are rapidly closing. China's state television aired back-to-back footage of military readiness drills, interspersed with stern warnings from senior party officials. The message is clear. Beijing is not interested in negotiations right now. This hardened posture adds to growing fears that the window for diplomacy is shrinking or already closed. 7 U.S. allies caught in the middle, NATO under pressure to choose sides. NATO's response has been cautious, but divided. While some member states, like the UK and Poland, have expressed full support for the U.S. operation, others are calling for restraint. France and Germany have publicly urged Washington to provide full evidence of the strike's necessity. In private, there's turmoil. Sources say internal NATO communications reveal a fierce debate over Article 5, the alliance's mutual defense clause. If Russia retaliates directly against the U.S., would all NATO countries be dragged in? Smaller allies like the Baltic states are urging preparedness. Others are hesitant to commit. NATO may be united on paper, but on the ground, it's a different story. 8. Global markets plummet. Oil, gold, and crypto react to war signals. As the military tensions spiral, global markets have gone into panic mode. Brent crude oil surged past $130 per barrel overnight, the highest since 2008. Investors fear that conflict in the Middle East, combined with Russian and Chinese maneuvers, could choke major shipping lanes and energy exports. Gold has spiked, passing $2,300 an ounce, a classic sign of global instability. Bitcoin initially dropped, but then rebounded sharply as traders sought alternatives to fiat currencies. The Dow Jones plummeted by over 700 points in early trading, and Asian markets mirrored the fall. The financial world is flashing red, signaling that this isn't just political tension, it's economic shock too. 9. Pentagon on high alert. DEFCON status possibly raised. While official DEFCON levels are classified, multiple sources indicate that U.S. military readiness has quietly shifted to heightened status. Key U.S. bases in Europe and Asia have increased patrols, canceled leave, and implemented secure comms protocols. NORAD has reportedly increased surveillance over Arctic airspace, a known Russian bomber route. In Washington, the president has held back-to-back meetings with military advisors and intelligence chiefs. There's no official word of a nuclear threat, but the movement of certain U.S. assets suggests long-range strategic planning is now in motion. The Pentagon isn't taking any chances. 10. What happens next? Could this ignite World War III or force a new world order? That's the question no one wants to answer. Are we looking at a limited escalation or a chain reaction? Some analysts believe the U.S. strike was meant to contain a threat, not provoke a wider war. But with Russia and China now actively mobilizing, the situation has taken on a life of its own. 3 possible scenarios are now on the table. Scenario 1, de-escalation through back channels. Diplomats from Turkey, Switzerland, and even India are reportedly working to re-establish communication. If successful, this could prevent further military escalation, but only just. Scenario 2, tit-for-tat retaliation. Russia or China may carry out a precision strike of their own, possibly cyber, possibly kinetic, targeting U.S. or allied infrastructure. This would be a calculated risk, but one designed to send a message. Scenario 3, open conflict. The nightmare scenario. Full military confrontation between superpowers. This would redraw global alliances, cripple economies, and potentially spiral into nuclear posturing or even deployment. Each passing hour brings us closer to one of these forks in the road. This is more than a flashpoint. It's a test of alliances, deterrence, and global diplomacy. The U.S. strike may have been intended to prevent chaos, but it may have unlocked something far worse. A coordinated axis of retaliation. With Russia and China now seemingly unified and global markets reacting in real time, the stakes couldn't be higher. So what happens next? A new Cold War? A regional standoff? Or the unthinkable World War III? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. We're no longer watching from the sidelines. The world has changed, and the next move could change it forever. If you want to stay ahead of what's really unfolding behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to understand what's at stake. This story is still developing, and trust us, you don't want to miss what comes next. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay ready.